What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have a full review on this boot right here, the Mizuno Morelia 2 made in Japan. Now I feel like this review will kind of be short and straightforward just because there isn't a lot going on with this boot. It's kind of a like no nonsense boot. So I guess we'll get right into it and we'll talk about the upper. And it's a full kangaroo leather upper and it's extremely soft, super plush, and you guys can see they're really nice and like broken in. And break-in time, there is a little bit of a break-in time just because it is leather and it will take some time to mold to the shape of your foot. And if you do have a wider foot, it does take a little bit longer just because it needs time to like break in and expand, obviously. But straight out of the box, it felt pretty good. It felt comfortable. It does feel not super tight, but it does feel a little, I guess, snug. But that will change once you do start wearing them and they get softer, more pliable, and it's just a fantastic leather upper. Like you guys know Mizuno, they make fantastic high quality leather products, and this is no different. This is probably their best, and it's a full leather upper. And I find that this part of the upper here is a little bit more plush and padded. Towards here, it is a bit of a thinner like leather. You guys can actually feel like the transition between like the thickness and the thinness from here. If you guys really feel it, this one just feels a little bit more plush. This one just feels a little bit thinner here. But honestly, if it feels pretty consistent, I didn't find a huge difference. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I feel it with my fingers. But on feet, it feels pretty good. For me, this is one of the best uppers like on the market right now in terms of like leather uppers. There isn't that many leather boots right now. But yeah, this is a fantastic option. Moving on here to the midfoot, we do have this like synthetic rubber logo here. And this actually helps to provide just a little bit more like lockdown and like responsiveness in the midfoot. Otherwise, it would feel a little too, not sloppy, but I guess loose. And I actually did find that this helped a little bit. I really noticed it in the beginning when I did tie my shoes very tight. And I think I did mention it in my play test that when you tie your laces, you really do feel this rubber logo like wrapping your midfoot, and it's not uncomfortable. It just feels actually pretty nice and like secure. And once you do break them in, you don't really get that sensation all that much anymore. But I feel like when you do make those hard cuts, like this is helping a little bit with the reinforcement. And so in terms of the rollover here in the midfoot, there is some, but it's not so bad. Like this rumbar low actually helps. In the forefoot, I did find myself moving just a little bit when I'm making hard like turns and cuts. I found like a little bit of movement here or like rollover or like spillage, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like my foot would kind of spill over just a little bit, and it's nothing crazy. I kind of expected it from this boot just because it is a leather upper and obviously it is very soft. And so in terms of performance, like it performs okay. Like it's not the best performing boot, obviously. There's not an insane amount of lockdown, but it's like decent. You'll be fine if you decide to wear these on a match. The heel here is actually doesn't have so much padding, but I feel like there's enough, and like the shape of the heel is just fantastic because even though there isn't a lot of padding, it's still super comfortable. It still locks down your heel very nicely. There isn't really any movement here. This material is more like a synthetic leather or like a leather. I know some of them have like a suede liner. This one isn't a suede liner. You guys can see it is more like a leather, but honestly, it grips my sock really well. I didn't find any movement whatsoever, and like the heel lockdown is great. Comfort is good. So the heel is fantastic in my opinion. I have no issues with this. The tongue here, it is like a little bit of a padded material. It does have some padding on the inside. I think some neoprene with some padding, and honestly it's fine. Like it matches the leather really well, and I didn't find any issues. It helps with a little bit of lace biting. And one thing that I kind of wish that they implemented is that they should have implemented like the two little like cuts in the tongue just so that it prevents the tongue from moving around, just because obviously with the U-throw construction, like the tongue will move around just a little bit. Now the tongue on the Morelia Neo, that actually has two, and so that tongue doesn't move around whatsoever. So I kind of wish they would implement that here. It will just make it a little bit better in my opinion. Now moving on to the sole plate here, we have more of a traditional sled pattern like layout, and but the sole plate is actually like modern plastics, and so it kind of cuts down on the weight of the boot, which is great. Like even though this is a full leather upper, it doesn't feel heavy on feet, which is great. Like the sole plate itself is on the flexible side, but it does have a little bit of responsiveness, not so much, but just a little bit. And the midfoot is nice and sturdy. There's like no bending this midfoot, and so it's great in my opinion. And here the stud pattern, it is all conical, and I have used this on AG. You guys can see like I guess the AG, like how dirty it is. And you guys can see like there's no like durability issues. The upper hasn't like ripped or whatsoever. Like everything is fine. But yeah, in terms of the stud pattern, you know, these are a little thick for AG in my opinion, and they don't really like penetrate the AG feel all that well sometimes. I feel like they kind of feel maybe chunky, I guess is the best way to explain it, if that makes any sense. But it's still, you know, it still works fine. It's all conical, and so they're kind of safe. You won't really get stuck whatsoever. I just find it a little bit, like you guys can see the size, they're a little bit thicker. So I kind of wish they were just slightly thinner like the Neo series, but obviously there's more like a traditional like stud pattern, and so I kind of get it. But you know, this sole plate is still pretty good and it gets the job done. Overall, like Mizuno Morelia is a great boot. Like I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Obviously, like there is a little bit of movement here in the forefoot, but that's kind of just to be expected just because it is a super soft leather here and there really isn't any reinforcement like here, just the stitching so it doesn't overstretch. And this boot actually does not overstretch. It keeps its shape. It just stretches enough for you to have a more comfortable fit and kind of mold to the shape of your foot. But the shape is still good. Like it doesn't feel any sloppy after a while. Like it's great. Just there's just a little bit of like movement here in the toe box in my opinion. The midfoot, you know, it feels okay. There is a little bit of movement, but it doesn't feel too bad. And overall, you know, it's a super comfortable boot. So I think if you're really looking for the most comfortable boot on the market, you should really check out this boot. If you really like your performance, then maybe this isn't the right option for you. And in terms of sizing, I went true to size and I found these to fit perfectly. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Kind of a short and straightforward one. Like I said in the beginning, the Mizuno Morelia 2 is a fantastic boot. And you know, it doesn't really do anything special, but it just does things right. If you guys have any questions on this boot, just let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.